In my last Tips for Toddler Group Leaders, I told you the story of an encounter I had at the Playtime conference with a lady who told me that they ran two toddler groups. They ran one on a Monday that was designed for the 0s to 3s, and then on a Friday they ran another one that was designed for the 3s to 6s. And in doing so, they were seeking to create continuity. They were seeking to actually build a relationship beyond the parent and toddler group, and hopefully in doing so link in with some of the other things that the church was doing. And they were doing it really successfully. And the thing I said was that continuity is something that's really important, something that we need to do. But what I didn't do was give any explanation as to the reasons why. Very grateful to people's comments. Some people said they were already doing it and it was working really well. But in some ways I felt like the point was being missed. That it isn't just about connecting things together, but it's doing it for a specific reason. And the reason is this. The statistics suggest that it takes 4 to 7 years for a person from first encounter with a Christian to reach the point where they make a decision as to whether to follow Christ or not. Now, the reality is that parent and toddler group is often our first opportunity to engage with people at a time when they're open to the possibility of exploring faith and exploring values and exploring how they want their children to grow up. And as a consequence, it gives us real opportunity. But the fact remains that in the average parent and toddler group, you only have contact with those parents for 1,277 days. That's how long it is between 0 and 3 and they're heading to nursery. Now the reality is that in those 3 years there isn't enough time statistically to build a sufficiently strong relationship and have the opportunity to have gospel input enough for them to actually make an informed choice as to whether they want to follow Christ or not. So it becomes absolutely vital not only that we create the continuity for the sake of child development, but that we create it for the sake of ongoing relationship and opportunity for mission and the gospel. So that's the first reason why I stressed that it's really important to think those things through. And that's the reason why we're looking to find ways that we can actually fill the gap between our parent and toddler group and our junior youth club, which happens on a Friday night. And what we're thinking of doing is an after-schools club that's designed for the 3s to 6s, that the people who have been to parent and toddler group can bring their children along to, that will straddle the leap from parent and toddler group to nursery and from nursery into reception at school. I'll let you know how it goes. But the other reason why I think it's important is because of something that is called the Engel scale. I don't know whether you've ever seen the Engel scale or you've heard about it. It was an attempt on behalf of Engels to be able to give the church the ability to think through the journey of faith that people tend to make. What he did basically was he said that there is a scale starting at the bottom here where people journey from no knowledge of Christ, no knowledge or interest in the gospel, through steps that take them to the point of conversion, which he called 0, and then on into discipleship and into maturity. And the idea was that you were able to actually watch people and assess their journey up the scale until such time as they made a commitment to Christ, and then on in terms of discipleship. Now that sounds like a really good idea, and the Engel scale was and has been very helpful to churches as they think through their mission effectiveness. But you know, the thing I always found quite difficult with this scale is that people aren't neat. They don't naturally and neatly follow a journey up incremental steps to the point where they reach the knowledge of Jesus Christ and then move smoothly on. That isn't how sanctification and justification tend to work. What we also found was that at any moment in time, people can be at -8 and -3 and +2 and many places on the scale. So instead of using the Engel scale to judge each individual and decide where they are, I've always felt that it's better to actually ask the question, how does our offering, our program and ministry as a church help us to help people wherever they are on the journey? So instead of looking at the Engel scale like this, what we've tended to do is, in our thinking, is to turn it on its side like this. I know you can't see me now, but it's more important at this moment that you see the actual chart. And to ask the question, are we providing the things that are necessary for individuals, whether they're at -9 or at +9, are we providing what's necessary for them to jump in and take the journey wherever they are on that journey? Now, the reason I tell you that is not because you have responsibility for the whole church and everybody's place on the journey right the way through the program and the planning of the church. But as a parent and toddler group leader, you have people who are coming in at -9, they may be anywhere on this scale at all, and the question that we need to ask is, if it's going to take 4 to 7 years to get them from -9 to 0, then what are we putting in place in the program and provision that makes that journey all the more possible for them as individuals? And so the idea of doing a second group, a follow-on group, is simply saying that on the Engel scale, we are putting in provision that means that they can move from first encounter with the gospel through to the next step, whatever that step may be. It may be -9, it may be -3, it may be +2, it doesn't really matter. What we're doing is we're planning and strategically thinking about the progression and the journey and what we provide and how that it makes it more likely that people will reach a point where they embrace the gospel and are embraced by it, and that they move on to maturity in Christ, whatever that looks like. So I hope you find that helpful. It's just a simple explanation in answer to a comment that was made, and we hope that you'll continue to think strategically, and that these tips for toddler group leaders will help you along the way and give you a bit of a leg up. If you enjoyed this video, then please click the like button and give us the thumbs up, because it really helps and affirms us that we're doing the right sort of stuff. If you have any comments or questions or things that you'd like to ask, then please put them in the comments section below. People are sometimes a bit reticent, but we do answer every comment and question and value everything that you say. And if you think it might be helpful, share it with others. And why not consider following us on a regular basis and picking up on these tips for toddler group leaders. May God bless you in the work that you're seeking to do.